Hello everyone, Treecks here and welcome to the next Let's Play that is going to go fast. Welcome to F-Zero X everybody. The first 3D installment in the F-Zero series. The high-speed futuristic racer that got released on the SNES as a launch title. Beautiful 2D racing game and most of all fast. And on the N64 it actually got their first 3D installment, expanding the formula by a lot. Of course, it is still a futuristic, high-speed racer, but we've got 3D tracks now with hills and inversions. An expansion of the cast of characters, no longer just the 4 racers we know from the first F-Zero, but actually expanding it by a lot. Many colorful characters are now also present in this racing game. One of my favorite racing games up to this day. And one other thing you might have noticed, before the Let's Play even got started, this is indeed also including the F-Zero X expansion kit. Originally only released on the Nintendo 64 DD, which was exclusive to Japan. However, I did get the expansion kit in my possession at some point, just never a way to play it. The 64 DD itself I was never able to get, but with modern commercial emulators it is actually still possible to play it nowadays. And therefore my coverage of this beautiful racing game F-Zero X is going to be including the F-Zero X expansion kit, which was originally Japan exclusive. But with the help of the wonderful guys at 64dd.org, it is now possible for emulators to also play 64DD titles. And that is indeed what I'm planning to do. So I can still cover my originally unplayable F-Zero X expansion kit. Let's get started, because this game needs to be played. And these are the options we get. There's 8 options, originally just 6. And it's pretty obvious which ones those are. These 6 over here are for the original F-Zero X. These 6 over here. And these 2 are new in the expansion kit. The Course Edit and the Create Machine. And don't worry, I'll be covering both of them. This is not my first rodeo, even though it took a while before I was finally able to play this for the first time. I have played it in the meantime, so can all be covered. Grand Prix race is actually where most of the project is going to take place. Pretty basic stuff. The time attack is actually also something I'm going to cover this time around, because the game includes staff ghosts for every single track, and therefore a challenge to actually beat Nintendo's own times. I think I will attempt to do so during this project. Death Race is actually a new type of way to play. Very short, but of course we'll also get some coverage during this project, where we need to destroy all of the other racers. There's multiplayer in this game, versus battle. Of course, something I'm not going to be covering. This is still a solo Let's Play channel, so no multiplayer for this game. First we're going to go into the options. There's not a whole lot of options in this game, so we're going to be done with that quickly. Most of them are multiplayer related, as you can see, so I have no need to go over those. So pretty much the only options we have is the sound mode, switching between stereo and mono, like you can with all of the games from this time. Nothing new. And we can actually clear all of our data. Erase our save file, you might say. But since this save file is empty, this won't do anything right now. Only the expansion kit has a couple of things saved on it, but more on that later. So, that was quickly covering the options. We have a mode over here called Create Machine, part of the expansion kit. Here you can actually create your own machine, like the name suggests. But more importantly, we have a Course Edit. This is probably the most iconic of all the add-ons in the expansion kit, where you can create your own track. And yes, that is a whole lot of fun to do. But those modes are going to be covered later. We're going to get started by practicing. Learn how this 3D F-Zero game actually works. There are 3 cups unlocked by standard. These 3, Jack, Queen and King. Those are part of the regular game. The 3 below here are actually part of the expansion kit. The DD1 and DD2 cup being new cups, and the Edit cup actually being a way to play your own created courses in cup form. Also pretty interesting. Something I will not be covering until extra content, so let's quickly do one of the tracks in order to find out how this game works. Let's go with the captain himself, returning from the first F-Zero game, of course. And let's see how this works. As you can see, we no longer have just 4 racers and a whole bunch of generic ones. There's actually 30 unique racers in this game. The racing is in a lot of instances similar to the first F-Zero game. You can just go left and right by holding the control stick. Acceleration goes with the A button, by the way. Here we have a pit area where we can actually heal our energy. These are dash plates, which you use in order to rack up your speed even more. But you can also do it by boosting, also returning from the first game. But unlike in the first game, boosting actually costs energy in this game. You do have infinite boosts, unlike in the first F-Zero game. At least until our energy runs out. We can use the C down in order to brake. You can see we can get to a full stop that way. But now let's go talk about the R and the Z button in this game. You can do strafing in this game. If we press the Z button, we will strafe to the right. And the R button will strafe to the right. So we can actually take sharper turns, like this. Could also get handy sometimes. Okay, and now these guys are getting in the way. And that brings me to the next thing I can cover. Namely attacking. And that's something that is new in this F-Zero game. You can actually press the R button or the Z button twice to do an attack. Like this. You get a little bit of a glow over your machine, indicating that you're performing an attack. And if you can get a good hit in, you can actually destroy the other machines. Easily getting rid of the competition, you might say. But the most epic of all attacks is actually combining the Z and R button. And then you can do a spin attack like this. Also pretty deadly if you're able to connect in a proper way. And the star on the right of the screen will indicate you have a kill. One of the machines is down, and it's our fault. Not just being very fast, but also being a killer on the road. Oh, speaking of being fast, if you go too fast, you can actually slip out, like this. Therefore killing your speed. However, there's a remedy for that. This is officially not a trick, but allow me to show you. You can actually also use the attack move in this game. If a sharp turn comes up like this and you're going really fast, you can actually use the double tap, like the attack is officially called, in order to keep yourself in turn. Really neat trick. Something I definitely love using. I'm going to abuse the crap of during this game, so be warned. Because, of course, you're not going to want to brake in the turns. This is a way better trick. In order to keep your speed even in the turns. But of course you can also just try to just hold your control stick slightly, like this. Because usually if you don't take the turns too sharply, you can also keep going full speed. But be warned, if you go too sharp, you will still spin out. And therefore lose pretty much all of your speed. But that should be all when it comes to covering how the racing works. Let's retire ourselves. And let's finally get started with the first league in this game. Because of course I'm going to cover this project by going for all of the cups. Unlike in certain other projects where I skipped a couple of difficulties or cups, this time I'm going to do every single one of them, including Novice, which is the easiest one. Computer players go really slowly. Don't really have to fear the computer players here. But we're going to do that first. And every single cup on every single difficulty is going to come by, because every single one of these machines needs to be shown off. Also a rule I'd like to keep myself with. However, only the first 6 are unlocked, including the 4 original characters, even though the cast of characters got expanded by a lot. The original 4, including the captain himself, are still here. However, since this is a new game, I'd also like to start off with a new machine. One of the new characters is Jodie Summer, member of the Galactic Federation. And another thing that is new, as you might notice, we can actually readjust the balance of our machine in this game. Pretty basic. The further you go to the left, the more acceleration you will have, but lower max speed. This will also make you slip out quicker. But if you put your balance all the way to max speed, then you lose pretty much all of your acceleration. It takes forever to get up to speed, but your highest speed will be higher. So finding the perfect balance for all machines and all tracks is actually key in becoming master of F-Zero X. I'm going to start off by putting the balance in the middle, so we can see how it regularly works. Playing around with the balance in order to get better results on certain tracks with certain machines, we're going to cover later. So it's time for the White Cat, number 2 start number on the field. Jodie Summer, who's actually participating in this Grand Prix in order to stop some villains who actually also are participating. That's pretty much her story. We have a body of C, a boost of C, and a grip of A. Therefore saying she has good grip and middle of the road, body and boost. Those are the stats. Now it's time for the racing. Go! So, let's go see if novice computer players are somewhat decent. Answer, no. But this also needs to be covered. Eventually, all of the cups need to be cleared in order to get 100% in this game. And since we have so many machines in this game, I'm going to have to show every single one of them. Which is also not a bad thing, because we can play around with all of these colorful characters in this game. And the first two are already dead. Okay, now exiting the loop, therefore entering the second lap. And then we will get our boost power. Booster, okay. As you might notice, in the Grand Prix mode, or in a regular race, because it applies to time attack too, of course, you only get boost in the second and third lap. The story behind it basically being the fact that in the first lap, the drivers are a little bit too close together still, and therefore it is unsafe to already get booster. Never really understood that rule, but as you can see, only in the second and third lap you will receive boost power. And also be careful using it, because of course, remember it costs energy. Therefore, boosting will make you go a lot faster, but the risk of dying also becomes greater. Okay, the computer players are on the rubber band a little bit in this game, so don't think if you're really fast you can actually destroy these guys. They will actually rubber band a little bit, but they will never actually pass you if you're just going fast enough. So, this was Mute City Figure 8. The most basic track in this game. Already being able to go quite fast, and therefore winning this stage. So, now on how the Grand Prix mode works in this game. Because unlike in the first F-Zero game, where you actually just need to get in the top 3 in order to advance, this time around we actually do have a point system. Starting from 100 points for the winner, up until only 15 points for the last place driver. Unless you retire, then you will get no points, as you can see. Like Kate Allen and Blood Falcon, who I actually killed during the first lap. That's pretty much how the scoring system works. No matter where you finish, you're always allowed to advance, unless you retire, because there is still a one-up system, a life system in this game. You do need to actually clear the track, and then you're allowed to advance. In this case, to the second track in this game, Silence High Speed. The track looks more basic than the first one, but trust me, I can understand why it's the second one. Here I'm going to play around with max speed a little bit. Not all the way, because trust me, the low acceleration is going to kill you. The higher max speed is not going to make up for that. But on this track you do want to have it towards max speed at least a little bit. Because this track is one giant straightaway. There's a bend in the curve here, and therefore even the curve can actually go straight. And there's a lot of dash plates here. And especially whenever the boost kicks in the second lap, then our speed is going to increase to very extreme high numbers. Okay, let's go fast. Let's see if you can get that speedometer up to 1500 kilometers per hour. It's a little bit hard to keep your balance if you're going this fast, so shifting your lane in order to get to the dash plates is not going to be easy. Okay, I want to hang left here because the track bends here and you're able to fall off if you go too fast. Let's go towards 1400. It looks like I've actually reached the max of this machine. No, here we still go, 1400. Yeah, I can't get it higher than that. But still, we went pretty dang fast. We even left someone. I think that was the King Meteor, piloted by Super Arrow. In a flash, I think I saw him. But yeah, this is a very awesome track because of being able to just go crazy fast. Okay, looks like some people actually shift their position in the standings. But I won both races, so I'm still in first place. And now we move on to something new. Something that was not possible in the first F-Zero game. Of course, because of it being a 2D game. But today, you're going to play around with the first special track. And special tracks actually come in multiple forms. The first one being a pipe. A track that actually connects all the way and therefore forms a pipe. And we can actually drive on every single edge of it. Pretty awesome idea. But like I said, it's not the only one. There's multiple kinds of quote-unquote special types of tracks in this game. The pipe just being one of them, and the one first being introduced. Ow. Hey, it's only allowed for me to actually hurt you guys, not the other way around. Yeah, the computer players actually only focus on racing in Novice. But you can imagine on higher difficulty settings, because of this attacking mechanism being new in this game, they will actually also start doing it. They will actually become a little bit more aggressive. But on Novice, it's usually pretty easy to beat them both in racing and in attacking. Because they never really attack you. Like this. Bye, Octoman. Oh, speaking of Octoman, that is actually Jodie Summer's main rifle. I did talk about rubber banding a little bit, but as you can see over here, one of the racers here, Death Anchor, Zoda, he's actually bullying me like a mosquito. And that is the rifle system in this game. Comparable to some Mario Kart games, 2 or 3 racers, usually the ones who are actually connected story-wise to the character you're racing yourself, actually become your rivals during the race. And those are actually the machines who usually are able to keep up with you. They actually heavily rubber band. If you do really badly, they will also do badly. And if you do really well, they will also do really well. So keep that mechanic in mind. It's comparable to Mario Kart 64. The same mechanic is actually present there. So, let's go to Devil's Forest. A new setting. The first new setting in this game. Ooh, that was a good one. Bye, Soda. One rifle less. Oh, and speaking of rifles, you can see one of the racers actually has an indication rifle over it. And that is actually the racer that is currently your biggest rifle in the standings. In my case, the one who's second in the standings. But if you're not in first in the standings, the rifle will be the one who is first in the standings. That's how that mechanic works. It's not per se always the one who is your racing rifle, because they're not always able to actually get second place if you get first. So it's not per se the same thing. But there's also a mechanic in this game. In this case it's the skull. The skeleton guy who's in third place. I'd like to get at least 5 stars, because there's another mechanic I need to explain. Now let's get you for number 5. Killing my rifle. And as you can see at the top left of the screen, we now have 6 extra lives. If you are able to get 5 kills in one race, you will actually receive a 1-up in this game. So no longer a point system like in the first F-Zero game. You need to score enough points in order to score yourself an actual 1-up. Here you need to just destroy other machines. So, with that taken care of, let's go finish this easy course. First Devil's Forest is also still a pretty basic course, as you might see. So let's rush ourselves to the finish line and win our 4th race in a row. Indeed, alright, first place. Only 25 people are going to finish because of my doing. But the computer players are no threat on Novice. They're only here to actually have fun with. So let's move on to the next special track in this game. Because Big Blue, also returning venture of course. But Big Blue Cylinder is the next special type. Comparable to the pipe, it also loops around completely, only this time we ride on the outside. A pipe where we ride on the outside, you might say. And that is called a cylinder in this game. Also really fun to actually play around on. Really difficult to actually optimize, because the dash plates actually appear all over the place and you can't always see them coming because of it being on the outside. But if you've played this track more than enough, you know where they are. You can still go really crazy fast, even on the cylinder. But do be careful, the cylinder is also really dangerous. If you go too fast on them, you can also fall off, especially whenever you go on the outsides of the cylinder. If you're able to keep your control, you don't really have to worry about the inside, but on the outside, if you go fast enough, you can actually disconnect from the cylinder and therefore fall into the abyss, losing the extra life you scored by killing 5 people on the previous track. I should be able to do this correctly. Like I explained earlier, this is not my first rodeo. It's one of my favorite racing games of all times, so I've actually played this game quite a lot in my life. I think I can safely say that I pretty much know what I'm doing. I'm also well aware that I'm not the best player in the world, especially since I'm playing this on emulator. Because of wanting to cover the F-Zero X expansion kit as well, I'm forced to play this on the commercial emulator. and therefore I need to use my PC controller, which is not always as good as an actual N64 controller. Also does not make it easier. But perhaps it can make it more challenging, because otherwise this game might turn out a little bit too easy for someone with this much experience. And speaking of experience, 5 tracks, 5 tracks won. Only one more to go. Also a returning venture from the first game, we have Port Town. And this is the first track that's going to play around with another thing that gets added because of the 3D element here in F-Zero X, namely jumping. Let's go see how we can fly in this game. There was a little bit of jumping already present in the first F-Zero game too, of course. But there it was actually limited to jump plates. Here we can actually also play around with hills, of course. So let's go climb this hill. Let's start jumping. Whee! And if you're able to point your nose in just the right angle, you can go crazy fast with these jumps. Making it really fun. But anyway, that was the final track. Now all we need to do is complete 2 more laps. And then we can get the first gold trophy of this game. And a lot more still to go. This is only the first part after all. Racing is awesome in this game. Perhaps a tad easy in the lower difficulties, but it all needs to happen. And at least in the lower difficulties we can get used to all of the beautiful tracks in this game. Including this Port Town. Of course you can imagine, because of this being the first cup, all of the courses here are pretty basic. But the further and further we get, the more tricky and the more complex all of these tracks will become. Up to a point where it's already a challenge trying to even get to the finish line, let alone beating the computer players on the higher difficulties. But this cup, still pretty easy tracks. And there we go. And that was the Jack Cup. Of course, because of it being Novice, winning every single track is not per se a difficult thing, but it is also not required. I can already give away, winning every single track in a cup won't give you an extra reward. Just getting first place is required. But here on Novice, of course, winning every single track is something I kinda have to do in order to keep up my reputation. But anyway, once you're done, you will actually receive a tally up of all your results. Mute City, first place. Your time and max speed also gets displayed. Same deal for Silence. Sand Ocean. Devil's Forest, also first place. And a lot of kills. 5 of them give you an extra life. Big Blue, the cylinder, first place. And High Jump Port Town, also first place. Total ranking, first. Oh yeah, and all of your kills also get added to a total, as you can see. Try to score as many stars as possible. Like going on a killing spree on all 6 of the courses. Also something fun I might try out on the easier difficulties in order to keep things interesting. Third place goes to the Bloodhawk, number 25. Second place, Space Angler. But first place goes to Jodie Summer, member of the Federation. She was able to stop all of the bad guys. The bad guys will be covered later, talking about why they are the bad guys. But this was the first part of F-Zero X. See you tomorrow for the next one, when we will continue clearing Grand Prix mode. Thanks for watching, and Treecks out.